now with masses of people not knowing who they are or where they fit in the grand scheme of things in the world. So many people have become disconnected from who they are and from what they need, what their core values are, and what our commonalities are. And this is why I really believe that we are having massive problems with our mental as well as our physical health right now in the United States. The Surgeon General, in fact, just came out saying that we are in an epidemic of loneliness. And this epidemic of loneliness is actually impacting our physical and our emotional well being. I am really excited to have a friend of mine, my dear friend, DearJames, on because we talk about this together all the time as far as the struggles that people are having with this sense of purpose, this sense of belonging. And this is actually a spiritual aspect of our health and our well being. But how do we fix this? How do we reconnect to who we are and who we're meant to be and how we interact with others? Well, it really comes from the need to reconnect um, with our soul and with our soul's purpose and our soul's messages and our soul connections with others. So I'm really excited to have my friend James on, who is an intuitive and just a very, very powerful human being, a compassionate human being. And I really implore you, I invite you to join us for this conversation where we dive into trying to understand how to find calm in this chaos of our lives by learning how we can reconnect to our soul. So I am really excited to have James on with me because James and I have this conversation all the time. We talk all the time about what we need. And I often will reach out to James, who is an intuitive. He's an intuitive advice columnist, Dear James. He is he has a podcast. He's an author. Has he's a consultant, and he talks about how to have intuitive insights and answers and advice to your life's questions. And I have often called him with some crazy thoughts and crazy ideas that I've had. I call him when I just need to reconnect, when I need that advice. He's phenomenal, and I love having conversations with him. And it was about time that I brought these conversations to you guys. So please join me in welcoming Dear James to the Simple Awakenings podcast. Hey, James.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
I am well. I am well. So I know you and I have had these conversations, but this intuition, this trusting of your soul, I'm always amazed when I will talk to you and you say, well, my soul's guiding me this way, or I've got this message to stay where I am, or all of these different soul guidances that you have learned to just implicitly trust. Has it always been that way, or was this a journey for you?
No, it's definitely been a journey, and I believe that, the construct that we live in has been, and the forefront has been ego, mind, personality.
Mm,
And we have led with our minds, our egos, our personalities, and so forth. And so this is literally a reshuffling of the deck. It's rewriting the order to lead with the soul, not with the ego, mind, personality.
yeah.
It's the original, but it's the return as well.
Yeah. And I was listening to your live yesterday on your Facebook page, which they're always so amazing. You always have these wonderful intuitive guidance moments that you share on your website, which I'll have the links to. Not your website, sorry, your Facebook group, which I'll have the links to. But you were talking about this, and I was telling you how
Yeah.
I myself have been struggling with this impatience that I want things to happen in a certain way, or I think that I'm missing something, or I get caught up in fear or a panic about something, and I start to kind of go back to my old patterns. And you were talking about how we have to let go and we have to just trust that we are on our soul's path and we have to just keep moving forward. And that
Yes.
really resonated with me. But it's really hard for people right now because there's a lot of people that just feel like they're caught up in this chaos, and they aren't sure what the next steps are, this uncertainty. So what does it mean to be on your soul's journey and to be on your soul's path? What does that mean?
It means that you literally live your life allowing your soul to lead. We're so conditioned to have our ego, mind, personality lead. And again, I talk about this a lot on the shows, as you know, and it's not about you throw the baby out with the bathwater. It is, we absolutely need a healthy ego, mind, personality. It's about purifying both. And it's again about changing position, meaning allow your soul, your intuition, you may call it your gut, your knowing, whatever it may be, however you wish to label it, identify with it, connect with it. It's allowing it to lead, and then allow your ego, mind, personality to be in service to your soul. It's reversing the order, because
Yeah.
right now everyone's leading with their ego, with their mind, with their personality, and their soul is maybe nowhere even present.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's where the disconnect from is everybody's focusing on me, me. It's funny. I remember a therapist saying to my son one time, "You're worried about what everybody else is thinking, but everybody else is thinking about what everybody else is thinking about them. They're not even thinking about you." And
Right.
so, with that, I feel like I observe everybody is in this ego. I've got to get mine. I need to do what's right for me. I need to get ahead. I need to do XYZ. And then I mean, how many of us, how many listeners out there have done something because of the shoulds, because we're being told it's something we should do, or we've been conditioned to, this is just the path. This is what's been laid out for me. This is what I'm supposed to do. But we're not happy. We don't feel connected to what we're doing. We don't feel like what we're doing isn't bringing us joy.
Mm.
To me, that's when you know you're on the wrong path. When you have a pit in your stomach showing up for work, when you are interacting with certain people and you just don't feel aligned with them, that is your soul speaking to you and saying, this is not in alignment. And it's uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable feeling. So, James, why don't we listen? Why are we so spun up and leading with the ego? Why is it so hard, do you think, for people to really listen to that soul and be soul guided?
Well, predominantly it's because of the world we live in, right? Everything reinforces this narrative, and the word that I want to bring out that you said repeatedly, we think things. It's
Mm,
thought, thinking, which is mental. That is ego, mind, personality.
mm,
It's mental. The minute you say, okay, let me suspend all of this thinking, all of this thought, and let me just come into the resonance of listening, receiving with my soul, because our soul knows everything. And by the way, you mentioned something at the top of the hour about the loneliness and so forth, and
yeah.
it's to remember. It's really to remember the one relationship that we come into this world with and we leave with is the one with source. It is our soul source connection. It's the first relationship, it's the last relationship.
Mm,
Everything else is extra. It's icing on the cake. It's our mirrors, right? We show up, whether it's a coworker, a loved one, a parent,
mm,
children. We are all in reciprocity. We're these mirrors for each other.
mhm.
However, the one relationship that matters the most, first and foremost, is the one with source. It is the one with your soul source connection. So the reason it's this way is because of we've forgotten that. We've forgotten that relationship. We don't go to it. It's
Mm.
last and or absent
Yeah.
from the table, from the discussion. Well, now it's about putting it first.
Well, I have a question for you because I can already hear people, some of the listeners that maybe don't have that religious connection. Maybe they don't, they're agnostic, atheists. They don't believe in God or whatever that is. And I know when I teach in my class and we talk about spirituality, which is really that connection to something bigger than yourself. It doesn't necessarily mean religion. You don't
No, not
necessarily
at
have to
all.
be attached. So I guess I want you to
No.
clarify, if you will, what, when you're speaking of source, what what is source? What are you speaking about for those people that are like,
Right.
well, I don't believe in God, right? Or
Right. Well, so again, there's a no matter because remove it from a literal religion. Religion is a belief in a higher power.
yes.
Faith is a belief in a higher power. So remove any organized religions
Yeah.
labels, and simply, do you believe in the unseen? Do
Mm,
you believe in a higher hand, a higher source, a higher power? Do you believe in the things that you cannot see, but you are very clear that they happened, they occurred? They are not physical and tangible. And when the answer is yes, that is your awareness that your soul is connected to something higher, and you can see its presence affect, come through in your life. So organized religion is simply a way of enhancing that, meaning enhancing the narrative that there is a higher hand, a higher power, God, Buddha, Allah, this type of thing. Okay, you can step out or beyond and say, yes, I connect directly to the unseen. I connect to this soul source connection.
yeah.
That's what we're talking about. And it
Right.
is a belief. It demonstrates itself, and thereby it's a belief. It's a faith. It's a belief.
Yeah. And it's that intuition piece as well. It's that connection.
Absolutely.
I talk about the magical messages of your mind, your body, and spirit.
Yes.
Our mind, our body, and our spirit are constantly communicating with us and giving us signals. And
Yes.
I think that we get so caught up and so distracted by life and all of the doing that we forget how to just pause and listen and get still for a minute and listen. We
Yes.
forget how to trust that we know inside us, because of that soul source connection. We know what we need because we came into this world. All of us come into this world with a purpose, with
Yes.
something that we are meant to do. And, whether you believe it, I mean, I know James and I share the belief in something bigger. We share the belief that we are just the vessels that the information is coming through to, that we share
Yes.
with others. We share the belief in, reincarnation and other, but whatever it is, and I think that's where all the research talks about, when you have a strong sense of spirituality, a connection with something bigger than beyond yourself, you are healthier and happier.
Yes.
When you feel that there is nothing else, that it's just you, that is a lonely feeling. And I
Yes.
think that there are a lot of people in our world right now who do not have that connection with something bigger and beyond themselves. That's why there is a loneliness epidemic.
Hmm. And they gave me this, there's this whole, we're in the age of Aquarius. We're in this moment of the lead and the power of artificial intelligence.
I was just gonna, you got my brainwaves there, buddy, because
And
that's taking away thought. We don't have to think.
well,
Yeah.
and again, artificial intelligence, AI, artificial. Then there is what the unseen gave me, which is original intelligence. It's the difference between, remember back in, I think it was in the 80s, it was like live or Memorex. Well, original intelligence is source. It's the unseen. It's the original from which all things flow. So anything, whether we're creative, all of this artificial intelligence, remember, artificial intelligence is about computers.
Mhm.
Well, it's what we program into them.
Mhm.
And then they can execute and learn, but it's commands, right?
Mhm.
It becomes code. That is mental. That is an external act. Soul source connection, higher power, higher connection and everything, it's innate, it's a knowing, it comes in. And we don't, where did it come from?
Mm.
We didn't create this, it comes in, we receive it.
Hmm.
That's original intelligence. And so it's about connecting to your original intelligence. You said as a soul, it comes in, we come in, it's present, it's what we come in with, it's what we leave with. That's original intelligence. That is an original connection.
Yeah.
Everything else outside of that is external or secondary.
Yeah.
It's to make that point, to reconnect. The point I'm making is reconnect with your original intelligence. If you don't believe that that exists, sit with yourself and ask, where does all of this come from? And you and I talk about this all the time. If you believe that it's coming from you, okay. I know for me, with what I do as an intuitive, it's not me. And I say to clients all the time, if or when someone says that it's them delivering these messages to you, don't walk, run.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, here's a simple example. Literally, I'm thinking about AI and bringing this in when you were talking about think, right? And thinking. And I was remembering a conversation that I had with somebody about using, and everywhere in the business world, you see Chat GPT and AI and AI and AI, and let AI show up for your business meeting. Let AI write your paper for you. Let AI do your automative stuff for you. And it's taking away thought. So as I'm thinking about this, when you're talking about thinking, you literally say AI. Now, you and I are hundreds of miles apart right now. Never even had this conversation. That to me is source connecting us,
Correct.
right?
It's the
That
unseen.
is right.
Correct.
That is soul source, because you said, and I say this all the time, and I'm sure you get this, but when you say something to somebody that they were thinking, or bring up something that they're like, how would you know that? Or how did you get that? And people will say, like, that's freaky, right? But it's not. That is
It's not.
the
That's the
deeper
unseen.
connection. Exactly. Exactly. I just
Absolutely.
want to use that as a way to alliterate what we are talking about here, because it is a topic and a subject that a lot of people really struggle with, because they are using their head instead of just feeling, letting their heart, letting their soul, letting their gut guide them, letting the little whispers that come into their head. That is source that's talking to you. That is your soul that's talking to you. And I
Mm.
think it's so important. So we had talked about this, like, what stops people from trusting it and listening?
It's truly that trust. It is the fact that they have forgotten to interact with it, to place it in the forefront position, to rely on it.
Hmm.
I always say it's faith, trust, surrender, and fortitude. Those elements, and it's to remember, we exercise our bodies, we exercise our minds, we pay attention to our nutrition. We fail to exercise our souls, to
Yeah.
interact with it. And so the minute you start interacting, the minute you suspend this mental ego, mind, personality thought, because it's thought that says I don't have enough, it's thought that says someone's going to take it from me, it's thought that
Hmm.
says that belongs to me, it's not yours, it's
It's fear.
thought,
It's
it's fear.
fear as well. Yeah.
Yes, it's the thought, it's fear manifesting in thought, if,
Yes.
if we want to break it down. And
Yeah.
so, and once you suspend that and you just say, hold on a second, hold on, let me just put my ego, mind, personality in the sidecar. Picture, the motorcycles with the sidecar, and you just say, okay, hang on a second. We're not out to murder you. We're not going to eradicate you. We're not going to kill you. Wonderful ego, mind, personality. I just need to put you in the sidecar for a second. Okay, now, unseen, spirit, source, symphony, soul, and let it speak.
Mhm.
And it will come to you in a word, in a knowing, in a
Mhm.
feeling, and it's going to be softer. It's going to be more still. And it can be in a complete knowing. I mean, you can get the entire picture in an instantaneous knowing. Or it's simply this word or this image. And then you say, okay, ego, mind, personality in the side cart, now guide me. I need you to be actionary, and we need to, and it's going to say to you, I don't know, Jen, should you do that? I don't know. Right? However, the point is, once you go and face those fears and you do it, and you go, I listened, and my gut, my intuition, this knowing, this
Right.
word, the minute you trust it, and you go, oh,
Yeah.
that's exercising your soul. That's interacting with your soul.
Yeah.
It's invoking your soul source connection. And the more you do it, like any exercise, like anything,
Right.
you hone it, you sharpen, it gets more and more vast,
Yeah.
strategic.
And it's the ego's role is to protect you, is to keep you safe. That is what the ego's role is. It's to keep you safe and secure, which is a basic foundational need. But what we don't realize is sometimes we have to say, I'm safe, I'm okay. But when I
Yes.
think about this and what you were talking about, and I think about at least my own journey, my own soul's journey, when I was a kid, I truly believe kids come into this world with that soul connection. Kids come into this world open to possibilities and, seeing things beyond the veils and experiencing things, and they're not without questioning because their
Yeah.
ego isn't so developed at that point. And so it's the conditioning of society and parents and all that creates that skepticism, the fear, the not wanting to be different, or all that stuff. And I know I've shared with my listeners, I've shared with you my own journey as far as having this sense, this understanding, this energetic connection with people, getting those signals very clear, um, experiencing things that I couldn't always explain, but I just knew. I had that knowing that came from source. But being told basically that I was just trying to get attention, and being
Mhm.
told that like I had to not do that. And then it was really my children's illnesses that awakened me, because that I literally, it's like I shift gears, I shut down that right brain, that intuitive, source
Yes.
connected brain, and I let the logical left brain lead because that's what was accepted. And I think in work that I've done with you, with shamans and a bunch of people, I realized that some of my gifts in past lives I was persecuted for. So when you come in, you bring that karmic energy in with you to this soul, this journey.
Mhm.
It's that fear is still there. And so I had to work really hard with trusting and allowing that part of me, that soul guided part of me, to shine and to be out there and to let people know this is the work that I'm doing, but it's coming from source. This is what I'm capable of doing, but it's not me, it's source, right? All of that. But there is a little component of fear that I had to work through. And to your point, it was exercising and working and continually doing these things that were the more that I trusted. Even when I'm doing a reading for somebody or somebody asks me for channeling, like to channel people, there is a part of me that is worried about being wrong and not necessarily trusting the information that comes through, because there's a fear of harm. There's a fear of me doing or saying something, or doing something that's wrong. But when you are truly soul guided, there's nothing wrong. Like nothing can be
No.
wrong because it's in everybody's, it's in the highest interest, right? It's your highest self meeting the highest self.
Yes.
So I guess my question for you in that long-windedness, my question for you is, were you always able to step in and to trust this soul connection and trust these intuitive gifts that you had? Or was there fear when you were younger? Fear of what are people going to think? What is society going to do? How am I, all the fears that pop in, that it's our ego trying to protect us. Did you experience that? Or have you always just been on this soul journey very openly and
So to share with you, because there's two things. So I'll answer the direct thing first. It's what I knew early on. So I became, in hindsight, I became aware that I was interacting with my intuitive self and so forth, and my connection to the soul and source connection. I just didn't realize it. It's just kind of like you're going about everyday business. Then there was this turning point, epiphany moment. And because, like you had said, the worry about fear, the worry about, and for me, people's lives, I'm interacting with people's lives. So that is sacrosanct for me. It is,
Mhm.
we are, and this is true of everyone, we are always, it says we are our brother, sisters, keepers, right? I mean,
Mhm.
so for me, it is another soul. I have their soul in my hand, and that is paramount for me. To answer this specific question, what came about was the awareness that if I must trust what comes. I mean, there can be no ambiguity. There can be no crack in the door. Even when, especially when I may not understand what I'm receiving yet. So as you know, when I do clients, I sit and download and I listen and they tell me, they give me bullet points. They tell me, and there are times where I literally go, oh, wow, you want me to say that? Or what is this? What is this? However, I just go like this. Nope, got it. Full faith and trust. And then when I'm interacting, the tapestry of the story comes together,
Mm.
and the brilliance of it. And James, I have no idea. I'm listening. I'm a stenographer in essence.
Mhm.
I'm listening and writing things down. And then in the flow of the moment, in the beauty of the unseen connecting and everything, in the guidance, the intuitive guidance that comes through, there's the story.
Mm.
I didn't have to do anything other than continue to listen, have faith and trust, and go as guided. And when I stay in that lane, which I do because that's the business we're in, and this is what I'm saying to everyone, that's the business you're in.
Mm.
I may do this for a living, but we all do it as a way and a means of life, of wellness, of betterment. And so it's about full faith and trust
Mm.
with that connection. Because then again, it may not reveal everything in totality, but it will reveal enough that you have affirmation, confirmation, knowing, and that you can continue to build and build and build on that trust, on that foundation. That's that piece. And I just wanted to add, because you brought in something that's really, really profound, and is, remember, we come in, you said in your story, in your example, you came in and right, the veil is still thin, where our ego minds, personalities have yet to really form. And we have children. You watch children and you watch the elderly, much older. These two demographics, pockets of people, their connection to the unseen, coming in and exiting, is so strong,
Yeah.
is so pure, so unfiltered. And then what happens in the middle? We close it off. We dumb ourselves down. We get told by caregivers and adults and society and the experience, the examples, how to turn that off and just go to the mind, thinking, thought. Because the cycle has been that we didn't trust what was there in the beginning, which is what you were saying. The example is, oh, see, I got told that that was wrong, or that that was an attention getter, or where it was your actual real connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so you learn, oh, that's conditioning. You learn, the ego goes, oh, that's not safe. The
Yep.
mind goes, oh, don't do that again. And then we go down the road running, going, gee, I guess the ego mind personality leads. And it's like, how's that working out for us?
Yeah. Well, exactly. And herein lies that spiritual crisis that we're having, this mental health
Yeah.
crisis. I shared with you my son was in a lockdown because there was an active shooter on premises on Monday. And everybody's, as so many parents' instincts. And so this leads me to my next question. There's a purpose to this, don't worry.
Oh,
Um,
I'm good.
there always is, James. There always
Uh,
is,
we're in
right?
the
But
flow, Jen. We're in the
sometimes
flow.
we're just a little circuitous getting there. Um, but everybody, so many parents' reactions were to drive to the school, okay, where we've been told there is an active shooter, drive to the school to go get their children.
Yes.
Okay. How are you going to do that? Right. Um, or they want to fix it. Then their triggered kind of emotional reaction becomes, we need to do away with guns. And I'm not getting political here. I don't mean to get into that conversation, because there's
Right.
so many layers to this. But I guess what I'm trying to get to is everybody's got a soul journey. Everybody has, like, I have 4 children. I would love to sweep the path and to make my kids' journey easier. It is one of the hardest things as a parent to watch your child suffer, to watch your
Yes.
child go down a path that is not going to end well, or to experience things that put them in danger. It is one of the hardest things, but we can't fix things for children. We cannot fix things. We can fix the world by reconnecting to our soul, by reconnecting to each other, to each other's souls, and by recognizing that we are only like the support crew on the soul's journey, right? We are there. There is a reason why we're in each other's lives. So my first question is just, can you touch on that whole concept of the soul's journey, and how, for all my parents that are listening out there that are with me on that discomfort, and I don't know if hopefully your child hasn't experienced what my child just experienced, but like, I realize I have to just process this with my son. It is his journey. This is the world that he is living in right now. I did not experience that. I didn't have to worry about shooters at my school when I was his age, but this is a reality of what's going on now. And so I have to just support him on his journey. And it is uncomfortable. But why is that such a key concept, James? The soul's journey.
Because the soul's journey is what's paramount. It is what leads. It leads coming into this lifetime. So when we incarnate, the soul has chosen. The soul is formed before it enters. Now you can say that you don't believe that and so forth. Okay, that's fine. However, the point would be, it's what we come in with, it's what we leave with, it's
Mhm.
what's ever present, and it's always trying to communicate with us. It's true north. And so the unseen gave me it's a beautiful statement. It said, one of the most challenging things is to allow another their soul's journey.
Mm.
So from your statement as a parent, no matter the loved one, it could be spouses, parents, children, pets, no matter, it could be a tree, a building. What did that soul say it would do? And then, because the ego, mind, personality, as you've just given in the example, as a parent, you want to protect, you want to prevent them from experiencing the harm that you had, or the pitfalls, and you want to clear the path for them. And anyone that's been a teenager, a parent, a child, a teenager, we all look and go, "Oh, they don't know anything. I mean, why are they talking to us? Why?" Because again, the ego mind says, I know everything. I've got
Mm.
this.
Mhm. Or that's
And
not going to happen to me.
right, that's not going to happen to me. And yet the soul also, in concert with that, is guiding.
Mm.
Because you can say, I thought, see, I think, it's thought, think, all these things, that I was going this way. And something completely unknown, unseen, eclipses that and puts you on a whole new path, a whole new trajectory, a whole new experience. Where did that come from? How
Mm.
did that occur? And so, to answer your question, especially with parents and for all loved ones, we are able to interact. We're in reciprocity. We are able to connect on a soul level. And I implore everyone to connect with your soul first,
Mm.
with others. You got to do it first with yourself,
Yes.
and then do it with others. Because what's going to happen? There's going to be greater awareness, greater understanding, greater empathy, greater inspiration,
Yeah.
greater hands off the wheel Okay, because I can see, because if I'm in my mind and thought and mind and ego and personality, I want to control things.
Yeah. And you get emotional and you react to things. Yeah.
Correct, because we want to control the outcome. That's a thought.
Yeah.
Where when we simply go, okay, hands off the wheel, let me connect on a deeper, and it's going to be a deeper, higher, broader level, octave, when we connect with the soul to soul. That beautiful word, namaste. I bow to the divine in you. Well, that's what it means. I bow to the divine in you. Well, it means I see the divine in you. I'm connecting on a soul level with you, which is going to open me up to say, I've given you everything I possibly can. Child, parent, analogy, example. And now I as the parent, I have to take my hands off the wheel. You as the child, make good choices
Mm.
because I've given you good examples. I've connected with you in a way that affords you this, that has offered you this, has hopefully encouraged and taught you this. And now we both go like this. We both, because what's going to happen is what's going to happen.
Mhm.
It is a soul journey, and it is to respect the soul's journey because again, we use this example with Matthew Shepard and Judy Shepard when you and I just spoke
Yeah.
briefly. When something happens in a negative sense to one soul, what appears to be negative, the
Yeah.
death of a child, that soul may have come in and said, this is what I'm going to do because it's the impetus for you as the parent, the mother, as she did, to step up and shine a massive light on issues that we as a collective, as humans, as humanity, needed to see, experience, receive.
Hmm.
That's a soul to soul contract.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
may be
And
painful, right? I mean, that example is very painful, and yet it doesn't make it any less true.
no. And, just from what you said, I have two little points. One being that there is a reason for everything. And if we believe that instead of thinking that things are being done to us,
Yes.
I feel like everything that happens is all part of the big picture, the grand plan, keeping us kind of on our path, on our soul's path, the soul's journey, and awakening us, awakening different things on that path. I know for me, um, and I had shared this with you when my son, my third son, had leukemia. You know, I had already gone through another son that had, had a stroke at birth, and I remember never did I think like, why is this happening to me? Poor me, that kind of thing. I thought, okay, I've got stuff that I still have to learn here, but I did have a dear friend that said, this is a soul contract that you had made with your son's soul. He
Yes.
agreed to go through this to help you awaken and to do what you needed to do, right? And
Right.
that changed my path, definitely. Sort of realigned my path. I was on, not that I was on the wrong path, but if I kept going on that path, I would have been out of alignment. And that's why it didn't feel good. That's why I was so
Mm.
kind of not comfortable in the role that I was playing as a critical care nurse and all that stuff. I was like, there's got to be something more here, people. And then this happened with my children, and it was like, oh, this, oh, and my children were the ones who awakened me. They were my teachers. But my contract with my son was that I was going to do everything I could possibly do to make him better, to help him get better, and to help him on his journey. So it was
Mm.
that's that soul contract. Um, but I also think I want to talk a little bit about those soul contracts and relationships, and why it's important to think about the different souls and the purpose, the reason for things in the soul contract. But on a different note, with children, I feel like the way that we as parents can help, at least the way that I feel like I've helped my kids on their soul's journey, is to teach them to trust their intuition, is to teach them to connect with their soul, to listen to the whispers before they become screams, and to
Yes.
really feel. what does it feel like when I truly feel like I am like, yes, this is it. Like, yeah, what is that like soul aligned yes, and what is that soul disconnect feeling, and trusting that. That's what I've taught my kids, and that's what I feel like we as parents need to do, is help our kids, number one, understand who they are and help them connect to their souls. But we can only do that, as you said, James, we can only do that when we are connected with our own, when we are in
Absolutely.
alignment with ourselves. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in modern day society, what you have to be willing, you don't have to do anything, but what you must be willing to do in order to connect with your soul is be willing to not worry about what other people think, say, believe. Simply, there is an authenticity about connecting with your soul. And you, as you said, it's a feeling. When you say with your children, we know when something is authentic or inauthentic. We know it. And we know it because it's a feeling, it's a knowing, it is internal. And then after it comes all the thoughts and it might be all of the negotiating and the bartering and the protecting. That's all mental. That's after the initial knowing. And so first and foremost for everyone, because we have, I'm bouncing a little bit, but we have smartphones, right? These smartphones, these devices, and we're so connected. We have the internet 24/7. We're so connected. That's the phraseology that's used with tablets, smartphones, all of these devices are watch, and we are so disconnected from source, from spirit, from self, because all of that is outside of us. It is artificial intelligence. Go back to the original intelligence that you came in with. We all have it. And trust it. Lead with it. Learn with it. Because what does the soul afford? Eternal wisdom, eternal love, eternal grace. It can only be your highest and best. Period. End of story. Have a nice day. Your soul will never have you go off and do something illicit and, it just won't. It can't. It is true north.
Yeah.
So in order, and again, this is that beautiful thing, Jen, with children, it's to remember they're whole and complete when they come in. It's a misnomer. It's an illusion. It's a fallacy that says, oh, we're the adults, we're the care providers. We know everything, they know nothing. That is an old paradigm. That is an old structure, an old belief. Because when you witness a child that is just profound, the wisdom that comes through, the purity of that act and that information comes through. And adults are going like, they're just scratching their head like, I'm sorry, you're 4 years old and what did you just say?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's to namaste. It's to bow to the divine in each other.
Yeah.
That simple act of grace, the world would be different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if we were to look at individuals and our relationship with individuals as some sort of a soul contract or a soul connection, think about how much more peace, or how much more compassion and connection we would have with others if we thought of things that way, versus letting the ego lead and tell us this person's trying to harm us or get one over on us, or letting those old beliefs and the stories that our mind tells us are true, when we
Yes.
know and we feel into it that it's not true, that
Right.
there is a oneness, there is a commonality.
And in order to do it with others, you must be willing to do it with yourself first.
Yeah.
How can you have a soul source connection, a soul connection with another, if you're not having the one, if you're not even aware of the one that you have with yourself?
Yeah.
And one of the great ways, a tip for everyone,
Yeah.
one of the great ways to exercise, to hone this soul source connection in this muscle, And it goes back to the state of people being frustrated or lonely, this type of thing, is to say, okay, source, okay, spirit, okay, unseen, let's go on a date. Just you and me. Let's go on a date. Where are we going? And you listen. Let's go to the lake. Which lake? Oh, that lake. Okay. When do we want to go? Oh, this day, this time. And you do all of that. Full faith and trust, surrender, fortitude, this belief. And you show up. It's just you and source. It's you and your soul. And watch the synchronistic magic that occurs when you're open and willing to do that and continue to do that. You'll change yourself forever. You will be lonely no longer, because you'll remember that that relationship that you came in with and the one that you leave with, the one that is ever present, is front and center. And it's extraordinary when you do it. And because again, it's the unseen, right? It's how you and I were talking a moment ago about, how did I say AI? You're thinking it, I say, well, there's the unseen, and they have your soul, and they're like, oh, this is going to be great, because they're going to have him or her show up. And then, oh, and we've got this or that animal or this moment and this person and this kismet synchronistic experience. And you're like, oh my gosh, I had the best time because I went. And how did all that happen? Because I didn't plan that.
Mm.
I showed up and went as guided.
Mm.
It's extraordinary. And you can't possibly, it's original intelligence. It's source. You cannot possibly make it up yourself.
Yeah. And I will say, and I can almost hear people in the audience, listening saying, but that's so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know how to do that. Like it's uncomfortable. Just the thought of being alone with yourself sometimes is uncomfortable for people. And I understand that. I used to be like that. In fact, I remember working with a coach years and years and years ago. And she was doing something and trying to get me to do an exercise where I was connecting to my soul, my higher self. And I laid down and my eyes were closed and I started to spin. I started to get the spins. And she said, Jen, this is just your ego trying to protect you. Tell yourself that you are safe, that
Yes.
you are okay,
Yes.
that it's like put the ego in the side cart, right? And
Yes.
and it's only when you are willing to sit through that discomfort and move through the uncomfortable and remind yourself that you're okay, that you're safe, that you're going to do this, that there is a reason for everything, that you are going to be able to get to that next level. And that next level is that reconnection with your soul. It's letting your soul lead. It's so powerful. And if you're struggling with doing that, if this is really uncomfortable for you, I can absolutely help. James can help. We will have links in the show notes where you can figure out and connect with either of us. James is again an incredible intuitive. He, I consider myself an intuitive, but James is who I go to when I need a reading for something, because he just pulls in so many layers and levels. And he is, I'll be honest, he is the best intuitive I've ever worked with. He's just very powerful and so connected and just brings so many different layers, past lives and everything to his very, very thoughtful sessions that he has with you. Very prepared and planned, organized sessions that, like, I can attest to the fact that the tapestry just comes together because he comes with his little list and then it all makes sense as he's talking and interacting. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's powerful. But I can also help you with that connection, with that moving through that discomfort. I do have programs and I have tools and techniques that I had to use for myself that I teach others to do. A simple tool and a simple tip too, if the thought of having a date with your soul makes you really uncomfortable and running. A simple thing that I've done with my husband and with my kids is, when you come to a crossroads and you don't know which direction to go, just pause for a second and which direction pops into your head. Where are you being called? And just trust it and go. Don't look up your maps. Don't, try to analyze and get that head in. Just allow your heart to lead and see where it takes you. I guarantee you're going to get to where you need to be.
And if I may, thank you. And just to reiterate, because and Jen, you and I, it's not me, it's the
Right.
unseen.
Right.
And so to the unseen, to source, spirit, source, and symphony is the credit. I show up, you show up. No, 100%. And I'm just saying that for
Yeah.
all the listeners, it is to remember that that's true of all of us in
Yeah.
all of our lives.
Yes.
The
But
other
you have
thing,
the courage, James, to trust and to communicate whatever is coming through. And there are many, many people, many
absolutely.
intuitives out there whose ego does get in the way a little bit.
And this is why we say, put the ego, mind, personality in the side cart. It's still there. And yes, you've got to get over the hump. And this is where Jennifer is talking about the different tips and tools. But remember, it's also the epitome of, we hear this phrase, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. Well, going on a date with your soul source connection, is the epitome of loving yourself. It is the epitome, because that's where it starts.
Yes.
And when you connect with your soul and source, and you go as guided, and you have that, what is it doing? It's building confidence. It's building faith. It's building trust. It's building self-value and self-worth. All of the elements that are encompassed in, quote, air quotes, love yourself. And once you realize, and fear is your friend. It's an energy. So what's either going to immobilize you, or it's going to propel you.
Yeah.
Choose to use fear to propel you forward, to get over the hump, to just get past that discomfort like Jen is talking about. And then once you do, and you keep doing it, you're going to see. And don't think, I don't want anyone, Jen, to think, oh, you master it and it's just easy peasy and what, no. It is a lifelong endeavor, exercise. And I'm reminded, I was in France, I'd been guided on this entire journey, and I'm walking and walking and walking. And I'm lost at one point, lost, air quotes. And I was reminded of, you're never lost, you're always somewhere. I go, okay. So I stopped. Now along this dirt road, I'm out in the middle of, country, land. And this lone car comes about. I'm having to speak in French, which is not my first language. And I'm trying to explain that I want to get to this certain location, that I've been guided to go there. And this gentleman basically says to me, pas problème, get in the car, I take you there. And I say, no. I have to do it by walking. I have to do it. He goes, okay, well, bon courage, which means have great courage, and off he goes and the dust is going. Now my feet hurt, I'm tired, I'm getting a little edgy. And I hear the route is down the hill to the right. And I stand there and I'm in a bit of a, huff. Ego, mind, personality. It's pissed off. It's angry. It's like,
get in that car.
and I wanted to get in that car, but I say, no. That's not what I said I would do. The soul said it would do. And I stood there, Jen, with this moment of going, now, if I walk down, and I'm talking to source, I'm talking to my soul, I say, now, if I walk down that hill and I go to turn right and there's no path there, I am not going to be a happy guy. And all I hear is down and to the right. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Just keep moving. Yeah.
That's the clarity of the down and to the right.
Right.
The moral of the story was, I walked and I couldn't see this turn, this path. And I walked all the way down that hill. And sure enough, boop, to the right. And there was a little, path marker that says, the route to da-da-da. And I turned and I was like, and I started laughing and I'm like this. And I looked up and I kid you not, a beautiful, almost like a flag that looked like a rainbow. It was clouds that looked like a rainbow. And it was just walking beside the left of me. And they were like, voila, there it is. And I was like, okay. Namaste, I bet.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to struggle. We're going to battle with ourselves. You're going to have your ego, mind, personality battle with your soul. That's okay.
Right.
Just keep trusting, keep taking the steps.
And I think it is your awareness of it that really helps you keep going. You're going to have, in everything you do, you're going to have moments where you kind of go backwards, where you let that ego's voice get a little louder. That's okay. It's important to understand that you're aware of that. Oh, okay. This is my
Yes.
resistance here. This is where things are getting hard. And
This
to
is where
just
I surrender.
exactly. And ask for, yeah, exactly.
This is where I dig deep.
Yeah.
This is where I trust.
So James, I mean, I that was such a powerful statement, and we're going to end it there because I think like we we've hammered the point home, and I think that it's everybody's soul journey. Whatever resonated here, whatever, maybe you'll listen to this again because maybe something pops out at you the first time where you hear it, and then you go back and something else. And when you're ready, you'll know. You'll know when you just take those little tiny steps, the little tiny moments to just pause, listen, and trust.
Mm.
And those little tiny steps will start to connect and start to become a clearer picture where all of a sudden you are fully reconnected with your soul and letting that soul guide you. And that's where you take back your power over your life. Truly.
Mm.
That's where the clarity comes.
And
So
if
yeah,
I
what?
may I just
Yeah.
add, I would just say to everyone, you have a soul, you have a soul source connection that is infinitely connected to original intelligence. What you choose to do with it and when is the only thing that is the only real true question and answer that you need to reflect on.
Yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is those things are present, just like our ego, mind, personalities are present, just like our hearts are present. So is your soul and your soul source connection. It's what you choose to do with it that matters.
Yeah. And you don't have to go on these these big crazy retreats or follow
No,
this person or do that person. It's there.
no,
It is
no, it's
always
internal.
there. It's just,
Yes.
do you have the courage to go on a date with your soul, to reconnect and to get still, because that's where you're going to find it.
Mm. And you'll reconnect in so many beautiful ways
Right.
that you'll be wondering, why wasn't I doing this sooner?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Mm.
James, how can people reach out and find you? How can
They
they best
can
connect?
they can connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. They can go to www.dearjames.com. I also have my link tree /DearJames. So in any one of those methods, and then I have my weekly wisdom and insights show that broadcasts out to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Yes. And I definitely encourage my listeners to tune into that because it's amazing when you do tune in. It's like your soul is making you tune in because James will say something that you're like, "Oh, I needed to hear that. That was me yesterday." Well, thank you. Thank you, James, for being on.
Thank you,
Again, if
Jen.
we can help you, check out the show notes. All of the links for James and for myself will be in the show notes. And I encourage you guys, you don't have to do this by yourself. There are people there to support you and to guide you and to be your cheerleaders along the way. James and I are two of those people. So be well, everyone.
Bye, everyone.